started in the chemical industry. I started working for ICI Polyurethanes, making polyurethane plastic in a chemical factory near Blackpool. But quite rapidly realised that the chemical industry in this country was declining. And after about 7 years in the chemical industry, I moved to Railtrack, who were advertising for a contracts manager in Manchester. And since then, I've done a number of maintenance and operational roles and safety roles in Network Rail, most recently as Managing Director of London North Western Routes. So that was managing the railways in Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, the rural railways up in Cumbria and Lancashire, and the West Coast Main Line. So a very varied mix of railway. And most recently now I'm Group Director for the Technical Authority. So I'm Safety and Engineering Director for Network Rail, looking after the national functions for safety, security, environment, engineering, and those support functions for the organisation. So that's who I am and what I'm currently doing. Well, there's been lots of challenges along the way. It's been a lot of hard work and long hours and working in many different places. But I think the approach of keep calm, carry on, and whatever the challenge is, just sort of work it through, talk to lots of people has always worked for me. I've always found that whenever there's an issue, there's some really good people in Network Rail who are keen to help. And if I've talked issues through with people, I've always got some good advice. People are willing to help me, and that's always worked very well for me. So I'm really keen that we encourage women in science and engineering. As a father of two daughters, I'm keen that they get all the opportunities that I've had. So I think it's about fairness and equality and making sure that people get the best opportunities in life. So I'm keen that we develop good engineers, good female engineers, good engineers from different backgrounds with different experience and different outlooks. Because I think engineering is about creativity, and it's about different ways of thinking and different ways of solving problems. And clearly, if everybody's the same, then we're not going to be as good at solving problems. So new ideas, new outlooks, that's definitely got to help us. I think it's that everybody comes to work and has a fair opportunity, that it feels like a friendly environment for everybody. And I talk to some people and they find that race or gender is something that affects them in their working day. And it's not something that affects me in my working day. You know, I'm just a white man, middle-aged white man, and I never think about my gender or my ethnicity. And I just like to think we could get to the point where everybody in the organisation doesn't think about their gender or their ethnicity, because it doesn't affect them on a day-to-day basis. They just come to work in a friendly place, that their colleagues are supportive, they get the opportunities to develop and to grow and to get to do more senior jobs and to lead teams, and that each and every one of us is promoted for our capability, and that nobody comes to work thinking about their gender or their race. And once we've achieved that, and we're sort of all completely able to perform to the best of our ability without feeling that there's any barriers, then I just think it will make it such a better place to work. I think that's what we've got to all aim for. So I think the reason starts long before people come into the workplace and join Network Rail. I think if you look at the choice of subjects at school and at university, if you go to the university campuses and look at who's studying engineering and sciences, there isn't enough equality and representation there. There's not enough women studying science subjects and engineering. So of course we recruit from a pool which is already quite skewed towards male towards men who are studying those subjects. So I think the work that people like Lydia Fairman are doing is vitally important. The early engagement work, and Kamini Edgley's doing some great work too. I think if we're going to make a success of this, we can't just start in the workplace. I think we've got to go back upstream to the choices that people are making when they're 10, 12, 14 years old. And I think we've got to do lots of early engagement because we can't just recruit from a pool of people that is heavily skewed towards men. In today's society, mums do more of the workload with children than dads do on average. You know, there's exceptions, of course. There's always some families that are different, but by and large, mums do take a greater burden of the childcare. So I'm hoping that our flexible working arrangements can enable us to help in those areas. I'm hoping that line managers can have sensible conversations about what reasonable adjustments look like. So I think we need to be a good employer, and I think we also need to take a long-term view. I think the hardest time in your life is when you're a young parent. That certainly was for me when trying to work and balance family and young children. And I think we need to take a long-term view. I think when you've got young children, it's really hard. But I'd like to think that Network Rail is an employer who's in it for the long term, and there's give and take in these things. That if we allow people flexibility at times when they've got young children, which is very demanding, I think later in their careers they really give back. So we need to bear that in mind and be a considerate employer and think for the long term. I think a team with diversity, is a stronger team. Different differences, different views, different experience, and by bringing women into leadership roles, we create a wider leadership team with more perspectives, more diversity, more different ideas, and I think that makes us stronger. And so I think building diverse leadership teams is the way to make the organisation stronger, and it's fairer. So I think it's a combination of fairness and diversity bringing new ideas. So I think we've got to make our workplace more friendly and more supportive. So there's some real basic things, like in our track depots, are there enough loos and facilities for women? Do we have a macho culture that is really uninviting for people to work in those places? I think we've got to tackle some real basics in order to make the workplace friendly and inviting, and I think that then gives us a chance of retaining people. And I think we've got to give people opportunities. I think something that is vitally important is balanced selection panels, diverse panels, so that when we recruit and when we promote, people are given equal opportunity by a diverse panel. It's so tempting to recruit in one's own image. So I think without having a diverse panel, panels will recruit in their own image. So I think we've got some real back to basics stuff to make sure that the workplace is friendly and inviting, and then we've got to make sure that our selection and our promotion processes are fair, so that we don't let panels promote in their own image. So in the technical authority, I'm insisting that we have diversity of panels for selection and promotion. I'm trying to personally lead on some of the STEM events and support Lydia and her team to make sure that we get closely involved in those, and I think I'm making progress. The leadership team in the technical authority is more diverse than it was a couple of years ago. We've got more to do, but the recent appointments that I've made have enabled the team to be more diverse than it was previously. I think COVID and working from home has been easier for people like me. So I've worked for this company for 23 years. I've got a huge network of contacts. Working remotely is quite easy when you know who to talk to, who to ask for help, and you've got a wide list of contacts who can help you. I think for people who are new to Network Rail, who've joined us during the crisis, who've only worked from home whilst they've been working for Network Rail, I think it's a lot harder. I think new people who've joined who are from a diverse background will be finding it a lot harder to work during the crisis than I have. So I'm really keen that we get back into the office environment, that we're able to meet face to face, that those corridor conversations can happen more frequently, because I think they're really important for building team spirit. So I think COVID has made it hard for young people who've started more recently to work than people who've been around for a bit longer like me. So for those who are in the team, I would say it's brilliant that you're here. You add a real strength and new thinking to our teams, and you're really genuinely appreciated. Advice I would give is stick with it, bear with us. We genuinely want to change and want to be more diverse and fairer for the future. Look for opportunities and find good ways to raise your profile. I think if you work hard and find good ways to raise your profile, there's a great opportunity for promotion and leadership within Network Rail. So I'm really keen to encourage everybody to see what's possible and to recognise that we aren't there today. But if we all work to improve, we can make this a better and fairer place for the future.